Hi, I'm Oli,
Hi, I'm Rob.
and this is a comic strip AP of Dungeon World featuring the adventures of Alford Soultaker. We rejoin Alford midway through a flashback where he is being told the story of his life by Inquisitor O'Brien. He has been betrayed at the end of the war and is trying to get some recompense by stealing something from a grand tent in the middle of the encampment.
The war is over, but its echoes haunt me still. Frostbreach clings to the rock like a squat, huddled animal. It will be months yet before it tears itself apart. Alderman's attentions become ever more intrusive. He comes under guard to my home. He makes show of the benevolent ruler, wishing to talk to and understand his workers. But it takes a hunter to know when he is prey. He's looking for something, for Wyrmblight, although he himself doesn't know it yet. I begin to realize that there will be no rest for me, no liberty, even in exile. Wyrmblight will see to it. The wolves are circling, and I must leave Frostbreach. I hope I am not already too late. My name is Alford Soultaker, and there exist people in this world who know the man behind the monster hunter, and they are coming for me.
Right, so you get to the inside of the tent. You said that you and your men were afforded certain privileges within the army. This tent, which doesn't even have anyone living in it, is just like far more grandiose than yours. It just looks like the most comfortable place that you've seen since you left home.
As we step in, I just mutter to Gargor, who's alongside of me. Who makes home in a place like this, in the middle of a war?
Who is on guard? Who is doing what in this situation?
I pat Framar on the shoulder to get his attention and just whisper into his ear.
Check we weren't seen. Cover the door.
Okay, he does that.
And Gargor and I move forward deeper into the tent.
You see, amongst there's a bunch of sort of cases. There's kind of like silks and clothes and things like that. But kind of drawing your attention, it feels like the whole kind of world is pointing you this way. There's this dark spruce box, polished to a high degree, with the gold lining around the edges of it all, inset with gems. The case itself looks like it would be worth a fortune, and there is what looks like a very, very complicated lock there. However, you have Gargor with you, who is a very, very competent locksmith/thief.
Okay. Again, just rest my hand gently and lightly onto Gargor's shoulder, and I just wordlessly point at the box. And then I step to one side just to explore a part of the tent that we haven't checked as yet.
Okay, are you looking for anything in particular?
People or signs of people having been here very recently.
Let's roll a discern realities.
Discern realities. 4, 5, 6, 7, plus wisdom, 8.
8, okay, one question.
Okay. What happened here recently?
What happened here recently? You can see that this box has been dragged here. As you're walking through the tent, you can see that there's an indent where this thing has been scraped across the floor.
So it's heavy.
So it looks like it's heavy.
Okay.
Whatever is in there looks very, very heavy. Boss.
Look away from the tracks and pad silently to the box and just signal to Framar and just gesture with my head to come over and see it.
Okay, he comes over as well.
Okay. And I kneel down in front of the box, flip the catch, and gently lift it open while we all peer in.
And you're expecting whatever was in here, you're expecting it to be kind of like full of gold coins or something from the apparent weight of it. But sitting in this box is just a single sword in a scabbard. It's Wyrmblight. Tell us what Wyrmblight looks like.
The first thing that strikes me when I cast my eyes upon Wyrmblight, it's not the gold, it's not the fine workmanship, it's not the jewels encrusted into its hilt, it's pristine cleanliness. It's not so much that I've never seen a weapon this clean, it's not so much that I've ever seen something that looks so fresh and new. I've just never seen something that looks so sharp and bright. It almost looks like it's cutting through the dim light of the evening. And it takes my breath away. I reach out toward it with my breath held, and inches from it, something doesn't feel right, and I withdraw my hand.
No. No, not this. Something's not right with this.
The fuck are you talking about? Says Gargor. He picks up the sword, and as soon as he picks it up, it starts convulsing.
Just say as loudly as I dare, Framar, grab his arm! And I grab one arm, and we just try and separate him. Just pull his arms apart from his double-handed hold upon this beautiful sword.
Roll me a Defy Danger Strength.
Defy Danger Strength. He's strong. He gets a 6.
You're trying to pull his arms apart. Framar grabs one of his arms. You can hear from outside, "Who's in there? What? Who's in there? What is this?" And you turn around, pull his arm. He lets go of the sword, and it grazes against your skin.
Yeah. Ah!
And immediately, the tent around you's gone. And you are standing on a castle wall. It's still night, but the moon is in an entirely different place. This is not like him remembering. This is something that is happening, as far as he can tell, here and now.
I fall flat on my ass because half a second ago I was pulling with all my strength upon Framar's arm. And I just look around me in confusion and wonder.
You can see that your body is not your own. Not only are you somewhere that you didn't previously recognise, you look at your hands and they're lither. They're thinner. You're still well muscled, but it's a more sort of elegant muscle. And you have these blue tattoos going all the way up your arm.
I stretch out my arms and just mutter, "What the..."
And as you do that, it's a woman's voice that comes out. Then you can feel the disconnect leave your body. And you can feel Alford's personality kind of drift backwards into the back of your head. And you can kind of feel this current personality go to the front. You have Wyrmblight still.
Is it familiar to me?
It is familiar to you. There is blood on the tip of it. And because there is blood on the tip of it, you know it's not enough to have killed a man. But you also know, because Wyrmblight knows, where this person is. And you know that you're here to kill them. What do you do?
I just shrug, not quite knowing what just happened to me, resheath Wyrmblight, and crouch down and take in my surroundings. I look for my mark.
It's a fort, but it's not a current fort. It's like a fort that's fallen to ruin. You look down into the courtyard. There are bandits, and you know that you've been paid by a nearby village to kill the Bandit King. You can sense that he is a little way off and hiding. But you also know that the bandits they're looking for you. So you're looking for him, they're all looking for you. What do you do?
I've done this before. I know how to move quickly, I know how to move silently, and I know how to move past people who are looking for me or not. So I swiftly make my way across the broken down ramparts to where I know this man is.
Okay. Roll me a Defy Danger Dex, but your Dex is now +3.
+3? 12.
Tell me what that looks like on screen.
It barely looks like anything. If this was on screen, all you'd be seeing would be cutaways from a doorway with a guard standing next to it, while behind him a dark shadow cuts across. If you were looking on screen, you'd see this from the perspective of the campfire as people warm their hands around it, and the hint of a silhouette makes its way silently against the brightness of the moon. If this were on screen, you'd see this lady cut a throat or two and make the bodies disappear into the shadows.
You make your way to the door, the final door, and you know that your mark is behind it.
I quietly draw a Wyrmblight into a ready position.
And there, standing at the back of the room, as far back as he can get, terrified, holding an axe, kind of quivering, even though he's a big man, is the Bandit King Vogler.
Okay.
What do you do?
I step into the door, and I rather casually turn my back to him while I shut the door, and take my time to turn around before whipping Wyrmblight into an elegantly poised position and just say, "An axe. You knew I was coming, and you brought nothing more than an axe."
I'll bury it in your skull, you harridan! And he rushes at you with the axe. What do you do?
I parry.
Okay, cool. Make me a hack and slash. And you can use Wyrmblight as precise here, so you get to roll with your dex.
Which is plus
so
3.
That's, again, +3.
It's the exact same roll, 6 and a 3, 9.
Describe what happens.
He comes charging bluntly towards me, thundering across the floor. I deftly raise Wyrmblight to counter. Sparks fly in a way that you wouldn't expect from a normal weapon, but this is no ordinary weapon. I give the axe a horizontal shove away in the direction it came from, which almost makes the man pivot off his leading foot, whilst I push away from it, spinning around in a 360-degree arc to bury Wyrmblight straight into the side of his chest.
It enters his chest, and you kind of hear him gasp and gurgle. And this deep black, not just black, but the complete absence of all light, smoke, comes from his mouth.
Rad.
And his eyes sizzle and burn and kind of pop. And this same black smoke arcs out from the sockets where his eyes were, and he collapses. And then you're back in the tent, and you're Alford again. And before you can kind of gather where you are, you notice that you have Wyrmblight in your hand, much as you did then. And much as you did then, you've got your sword buried deep in someone's chest. Gargor and Framar look down at the man you stabbed. Oh, gods. Gods, Alford, what have you done? Way up your arm.
I stretch out my arms and just mutter, "What the..."
And as you do that, it's a woman's voice that comes out.
What the... It's the best I could do.
Hi, this is Jason from the Gauntlet Gaming Community. If you enjoyed this episode of Comic Strip AP, please consider supporting the Gauntlet on Patreon. Our page can be found at patreon.com/gauntlet.